All right, hey guys, me Sam Stein, managing editor at the Bulwark. Tim Miller is joining us live from an Uber.
I'm in an Uber. I'm off to the airport. I'm hoping to get home. You guys will know if the next video you see tomorrow, it has the pinto beans and the plant. Then you'll know I made it. If not, I'll be back at an undisclosed location in somewhere in New York City.
I'm excited. I kind of want to get the reflections of your Uber driver after this is done. Not every day that the Uber driver gets someone recording a video in the back. Maybe in New York. We're here to discuss kind of a bombshell revelation. I use bombshell half-heartedly because, as our producer Jamie notes, like this is the least surprising probable revelation that you can imagine, and yet it still seems juicy and significant. It's from the Washington Post. The headline is this: Johnson aide, as in Speaker Mike Johnson, advised against subpoena of star January 6th witness over concerns about quote sexual texts from lawmakers. Now that's a little bit vague. The first graph really gets at it. And so I'm just going to read the first graph in full, and then I'm going to kick it to Tim for his thoughts. It's from Jackie Alemany, great reporter, I think friend of the Bulwark, I'd like to think. Jackie writes, quote, an aide to House Speaker Mike Johnson advised Republican colleagues against subpoenaing former White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson as part of their investigation into the January 6, 2021 attack to prevent the release of sexually explicit texts that lawmakers sent her. That's according to written correspondence reviewed by the Post and a person familiar with the effort. So, yeah, that's why Barry Loudermilk and his committee to investigate the January 6th committee has not yet subpoenaed Cassidy Hutchinson because they're worried that their own members are going to have their sexts to Cassidy Hutchinson released out into the public.
I mean, imagine this story in another workplace where it's like, hey, boss, sorry, don't think we can advance your agenda here. Don't think we should issue this lawsuit because if we do, several of the people that work for you will be revealed to be creeps. All right, so, like I don't think we can do this action. I mean, like it's pretty astonishing that they did not do this, like, or they are not doing this at least allegedly so far, because how widespread the concern is. Because I think was it in Cassie's book, or there was around Cassie's book there was some discussion that Gates had sent her, or that had maybe behaved creepily in some way.
Yes. Her book
Um,
claimed that Gates had kind of made a pass at her, a suggestive behavior towards her. The book also recounts an incident with Rudy Giuliani, shocking, of Rudy literally groping her on January 6th. I should note, I think both of them have denied that this happened.
yeah,
But yeah,
but here's the thing on the to the Gates point, which is why I brought it up. It's like if it was just Gates, they'd probably be moving forward with this. It's not like
yeah. What's the harm in like embarrassing him for the 18th time?
yeah.
You know, like
Gates is
think
a
about
former
that.
congressman. A lot of these guys don't like him. I don't think that they would be holding up the investigations that Daddy Trump is looking for on Matt Gates' embarrassment account. So that, I
Yeah.
think, just supports the notion that there are multiple examples of this. And I do have to say, just on a serious note, I think this is pretty significant because some of the off the record scuttlebutt I've just been hearing from people is that Cassidy really was in the sights of this committee, in part because of personal animus and relationships, in part because she did not get one of these preemptive pardons. These guys are always more upset at the traitors than they are at people they see on the other side, so they're more likely to come after like Republican turncoats, I think, or particularly Republican turncoats that worked for Trump, like Trump administration turncoats, than they are to go after Democrats. Not that they won't go after Democrats too, but like that those are kind of the juiciest targets
Yeah.
for them. And so it's
Well, it
intriguing that
sends a
like
message,
this,
right?
yeah, it sends a message as well. So the same person that I'd been hearing was kind of in their sights over the last few days. Now the story comes out that's like explaining why they haven't gone after her. I just think that's a pretty telling kind of series of events. And not again, not shocking. Exactly what you'd expect for these from these creeps, but even still, like pretty. I mean, it's really something.
I have a few points to make and a bit of a rant. To
Okay.
your point, the Post story is explicit. It's plural. Lawmakers. It's plural. Texts. It's not one lawmaker with a text. It's multiple lawmakers, multiple texts, according to the Post. Okay. So, yeah, it could be Gates, I suppose, but it ain't just Gates. Secondly, the reason that Hutchinson has been a target of theirs and potentially could be a target of theirs is both because she is regarded as a turncoat, but also because Liz Cheney was the one who sort of nurtured and shepherded her testimony before the committee. Cassidy originally had a Trump allied lawyer representing her when this whole thing started. She then changed legal counsel, then participated with committee, and the accusation has been lodged against Liz Cheney that she went behind the original counsel's back and convinced Cassidy to participate with the January 6th committee, and that there was something unethical in that, and that Liz Cheney should be investigated for that act. The reason this is coming up now, in addition to this, is that Barry Loudermilk had been investigating stuff, but yesterday Mike Johnson, who knows all this stuff because this was already in the ether. Loudermilk had been looking into this, but yesterday Mike Johnson decided to go back to the well and announced that Barry Loudermilk would have another bite at the apple. Sorry, I'm mixing metaphors here, but that he would do his select committee again, looking into what led up to January 6th and what happened with the investigation. So this is all resurfacing right now. Now my rant. No, this is not surprising in the slightest. This is par for the course behavior. This is the bullshit you have to deal with often when you are a young female in Washington, D.C., working for powerful men. And Cassidy's book had already illustrated the fact that she had encountered this type of behavior without revealing that she'd been on the receiving end, allegedly, of texts like this. I was struck by one thing in particular, which is that she's so young. Like, she's a kid, just a kid right out of college. She started her time in the Trump White House as a senior in college. And so she's been put through the absolute ringer. And it's despicable and it's gross. It's shocking, but it's not surprising because this is what happens when you're a woman in a powerful industry filled with power with men, basically.
Yeah, and no, it is, and let's just be honest, particularly these men who have revealed themselves to be creeps, in many cases, before today. But just one more thing on Cassidy, one more kind of note and ode to her, and about how challenging this is for her. A lot of people, like, just in my case, right? For example, sometimes I'll get people, it's like, oh, it must have been very courageous for you to speak out against Trump. I'm always like, it wasn't really. Like, it was obvious to me. And also, I was pretty well established as a PR person. Like, I always could have gone to do PR. Like, I always had a backstop, right?
Right.
To your point, Cassidy is so young. Like, she didn't have this like career backstop that you have if you are, some of the more prominent people here, the Liz Cheneys or Alyssa Farah, her friend who is now on The View, right?
Right.
Like you don't have all of that. And so I think for her, she like really put herself out there, and is now I think in a tough situation where she's really back in the limelight. She'd been targeted by these guys, like, both politically and the press, and apparently now we know allegedly privately. I just think the way that she's been just treated and put through the ringer, um, is really horrific, and I think that it speaks to the fact that it obviously took courage to do that testimony, but it's like another level of courage that like she was really putting on the line, a lot of risk, and there wasn't a safety net and a backstop for her, and that
Right.
she's having to go through all this right now, like, really sucks.
And people are going to be like, well, she got to write a book and she became like kind of famous because of her book. And it's like, my man, like, I don't think she wanted to have to write a book.
Yeah,
Like, she basically took a blowtorch to what she thought her career would be. She basically lit it on fire. I mean,
yeah,
you look at this book. I found this old piece of on her from her college about she's a senior. She's just started as a in the White House internship program. It's 2018. She looks all happy and everything. She's like, And the quote is like, I am confident I will be an effective leader in the fight to secure the American dream for future generations, so they too will have the bountiful opportunities and freedoms that make the United States great. And it's like, yeah, I guess you did do that, but like not in the way you probably thought you were going to do that. And I just think people kind of misunderstand that this is not enjoyable. This is miserable for her. I will say one last point on the politics of this: the Loudermilk Johnson thing to revive this investigation. I mean, it seems like one of those classic, rake stepping enterprises here. In addition to the Cassidy text potentially blowing up, you have Adam Kinzinger who took to Twitter and was like, "Look, bring it on. I want to relitigate this. Like, let's do it. I'm happy to talk about like people assaulting cops and then getting pardons. I'm happy to talk about re-show all that video and go through all the bullshit. Like, let's do it." So we'll see how that goes.
I'm with Adam on that. I mean, for Adam's sake, not for all the people like Cassidy who have to go through it. But I would love for them to give Adam what he wants. Give him a chance to get out there and let rip. The guy needs it.
He's got nothing. He's got nothing to lose at this point. Well, maybe I don't know if that's true. All right, Tim. Thank you for joining. Hey, look, tell the Uber driver we say thanks. Give him a nice tip.
I will give it full 20%. All right, we'll see you guys.
Yeah, that's very generous. All right, and thank you guys for tuning into the Bulwark. As always, subscribe to the feed. We will catch you later.